Today we're going to talk about shapes in Myprojects. Just for those of you who haven't joined one of my webinars yet through Lutron's Learn From Home or Bell McCoy University, my background is in structural engineering. I've been at Lutron for 8 years. I've worked on our Resi sales team, working with our dealers, and then spent a lot of time on our spec team, which calls on architects, designers, developers, and homeowners, helping get that project started. So currently I'm our residential shade sales leader, and I'm responsible for helping you guys sell shades. So, James promised I would mention this. Before we get started, I want to make sure you guys know about something new. We're in the middle of starting to launch a new product right when coronavirus really took off. So we've kind of slowed down our announcements about it, but you might notice this in your Myprojects, so I want to mention it to you. What it is a battery-powered wood blind. It is automated tilt, manual lift. So I'll show you a video. These are actually installed in my apartment. I was a beta tester for the product. And that's 2 separate shades, one on the left and one on the right. Because you can see I have a door on the right-hand side and just a window on the left. Now, they go as wide as 72 inches and as tall as 72 inches. For those of you who have a good eye, you probably will notice that that window I have there, my door is taller than 72 inches. Yes, they do not go all the way to the floor, but I was a beta tester, so I got them for free. So that's how it goes. So they work fine for me. 2-inch slats, you can group them under one valance, up to 96 inches wide. They come in battery powered, wired, or full manual. Now, the really important thing I want to make sure everyone notices is that they work with Caseta and RAW2 Select right now. So just make sure that you know that. They do not work with Radio RAW2 or HomeWorks. We think that this product category, or the requests that we get for this product category, come most often from our Caseta and RAW2 Select customers. So with more traditional homes, smaller windows that can accommodate these sort of size restrictions. So that's why we're starting with the launch in these categories. Now, what finishes do they come in? As triathlon, they come in these options. If you're a full shades dealer, you can get them in any of our wood blind options. I know that a lot of us haven't focused on wood blinds historically, so you might not even know what those options are, but they are in your Myprojects. Okay, now there's my chat. Sorry guys, if I don't see your question, I will get to you eventually. My chat keeps disappearing, but I have found it now. Okay, so my business. What is my business? Big picture, the point of this whole platform is that it's going to tie together all of these different parts of Lutron that you've previously had to log into separately before. So your qualifications and your orders and your projects and your sales goals will all be tied together in one spot. And so my business is up and running already. If I can just see, if you guys can just type in yes or no, how many of you are using my business actively already? You're familiar with this screen and you've logged in before to check it out. Okay, we got some yeses, we got some no's. Oh, plenty of opportunity. Okay, so while we're going through this stuff, guys, you have access to this portal. You can log in and see a ton of really helpful information. It's good to know how many dollars until your next level, right? It's impossible to keep track of that on your own. It is way too hard. We know that. That's why we've put it all together here so that you can take a quick at a glance, see what's going on, see how much MDF you have left and all of that, and actually use it to grow your business, which is the point of all of this, right? All right. So what are we here for today? Myprojects. We're here to talk about Myprojects. Myprojects was the first part of my business that we launched. We actually first launched it to our commercial team. So I've been using this for a really long time. And today, I'm going to teach you guys how to conquer my project. I did promise there would be a Tiger King reference. It's here. If you guys haven't watched it yet, get on board. All right, so let's take it to the internet. I'm going to put this partial screen so I can still see the chat. All right, can you guys see, can you see my projects? Can you see that I'm logged into my projects here? Great, okay. Never know with the screen share. Thank you for the confirmation. So let's get started with my projects. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do is create a new project. I highly recommend that you have a sandbox, we'll call it. The reason that I recommend this is because once you create a project, it's going to hang around in here. We keep them and hold on to them because you might want to refer back to them. If you have quoting activity, we can't let that project just get deleted. You can archive a project, and I'll show you how to do that. But in general, it's good to have one project that is your sandbox. So I'm going to click up here where the plus sign is, and now I can type in the name of my project. So the Maldonado residence. Let's say I can type in my address. So I can type in the status. Some other stuff down here. This job right now is assigned to me. You can see at my own organization, there are a whole ton of people I can send this project to be assigned to. That's because I am logged in as a Lutron employee, so I can send this to literally anyone else at Lutron who uses my project. At your own organization, this dropdown is just going to have the people that work for your team. And if there's someone at your firm who's not listed here, that's okay. We just need to set them up. So whatever's going on, if you notice something in my project and you need it to be different, email myprojects@lutron.com. You can email them and say, hey, I've got a new person working for me. Her name is Katie. I need to get her up and running on my project, and here's her email address, and we will set her up so that she has access to. Okay, my job type. I'm going to fill this stuff out. If you want to, you can fill out who the primary Lutron influencer is. So maybe it's Chiarelli Architecture, my imaginary firm. When's my close date happening? All of this information is here to help you, right? Done. Now here's my new project. So I'm ready. I've started. I have my sandbox and I'm going to work in this. Now you can see it automatically pops up on the right-hand side with how to add product. That's a good starting point. You can start putting in shades and other categories. But I always start by building out my area tree. So for those of you who are homeworks qualified, this will probably look familiar because we structure it really similarly. So if I double click on the word here, I can actually change the name. And let's say I'm going to call this my great room. Now, my great room is one overall area, but I might want to have it as one area because I might want to be able to break out pricing by seeing what the pricing is for the great room. But within the great room, I probably have multiple sections, right? I probably have a kitchen area and a living area. That's very common. So under this little pen, I clicked on my little pen logo and I can click Add Child Area. So I can type in kitchen. And then if I go back, if I want to add another child area under my great room, I can add another one that's called living. So I can keep building these trees out. You can think of it like a branch, and my great room is a branch and it stems off into two little twigs at the end, the kitchen and the living. I can only put product into the end, the end of a branch. So if I go back to great room, I can't put anything in there. The terminology in here is a little more programmy. They call it a leaf area. Whether it's a child or a leaf, the same concept is that it has to be the bottom or the top of its category, right? We can't put something in the great room because if it's in the great room, it's either in the kitchen or the living. So this thing will guide you through this process. I find it helpful to build this out in advance because once I put product in, it's not going to let me add a subgroup or a child or a leaf area to that section. So I know that's a little bit of something to wrap your brain around, but I find it very helpful for that reason to build out my area tree at the beginning. Another place that we might use this strategy is the master. The master often has separate sub areas. If you're just doing shades, it can be helpful to break it down into the sections either that you're going to quote separately or the sections that have different fabrics within them. So maybe in my child area, I have the bedroom area. I have a bath, and why not? I have her closet. Forget about my husband. I'm only worried about my own closet here. Okay, so now we have a little bit of an idea of how to build out this area tree. Let's go ahead back into something in our great room, let's say. Let's go into our kitchen and try to add a shade. Now this thing is going to pop up every single time because, as it turns out, this is a hard button for people to find, and you really need to know where this is in order to get started, right? So it's this plus sign up here, add product. I'm going to start with a roller. Now you'll notice it's named Roller Shade 1 right off the bat. We probably don't want to name it that. Everyone has their own naming convention. And you can have whatever works for you, but I recommend that across your entire firm that you have a strategy that you use, whether it's left to right, or whether you call it the name of the facade, Southwest 1, something like that. Definitely have a terminology that you use to reduce confusion, especially if someone other than you might be going back to that site down the road. So let's say I'm going to call it kitchen left. Sure. Just choose these options. They're pre-filled for me. Now, the first thing you'll notice, I put in my dimensions, right? Up here, I have shipping time and list price, and it's going to give me a range. I probably want to go in and select the category I want to use. Let's say in this case, I know I have wired. So I'm going to select wired. Now it's going to tell me how long my lead time is. Why is it 15 to 30 right now? That's a giant range. Well, because I haven't selected everything. So maybe I'm going to come in and select something crazy and custom, and it's going to take 30 days for Lutron to make it. Maybe I'm going to select something normal, and it's going to come in 15 days like you're used to. Now I have my list price here. Look at this insanely giant range. I have so many options I could choose right now that I have a giant range. I might want to set the price. I'm not going to do that yet until we make a couple more selections. So you'll notice next to all the drop-down menus, we've got these little info buttons. I really encourage you, if you're not really sure what this thing means, click on the info button and read about it. It's going to tell you, what are the different things in this drop-down? Why are they important? So I've already selected my technology, and technology is where you're going to see QS wired, QS wireless, Palladium, triathlon, manual. This is kind of the starting point. You're telling us what's the basis of the system. Then if I go into operator, here are all my subgroups. Now, you can see I can choose 100, 150, 225, 300. Now I've got this orange bar. What's happening below the orange bar? My dimensions are too big to make a shade to make a roller 64. I can't make a roller 64 with what I have here. So for this exercise, I actually do want to have a roller 64. So I'm going to drop this down. Roller 64. Made my width a little bit smaller so I could use a roller 64. I'm telling it which sides the wire is coming in. Great. All good. All good. Now, let's go ahead and look at fabric options. You can see right here I have 404 fabrics, right? One of the easiest ways to look at keeping your budget in check is to set your max price up here. So if I go up on the top right and click on set max price, I'm able to type something in. Let's say I can type in $2,300. You can see that my fabric options went from 404 fabrics down to 14. Just in case you guys didn't catch that, I'll undo this. I'll delete this and take it away, set it back to nothing, back to up to 404 fabrics. So if everything else is staying the same, fabrics are a really powerful way to adjust the price. Conversely, if you are looking to be more profitable on the job, right? If we don't have time to do more jobs, and if we can't have the client build more windows, the best way to be more profitable on a job is to sell more premium options, right? So fabrics are a really good way to do that too. Now, I have, there's some information that you're not gonna find in my project. So if you're looking to choose a premium fabric, any guesses from you guys on where you should go to find out which fabrics are most premium? Atelier, that's 100% the answer. That's true. The Atelier binder is a really good starting point. Every single one of those options is $4 signs, I think. How do we find out the dollar signs though? If I bring you guys to another website, lutronfabrics.com, if I go into the search tab, I can actually filter, yay. I can filter by price. So if I only want to see the most premium fabric options, I can go ahead and click on $4 signs. Here they are. Now you'll see a lot of these are from the Atelier collection. Horizontal sheer blinds are premium for sure. So great job, guys. That's how we find out our most premium options. All right, back to Myprojects. Now, if we're just quoting, let's say I'm going to choose basket weave 27 just for simplicity. Basket weave 27, I like this one because it's dual-sided. If I choose one of these, if I choose oyster charcoal, it's going to be oyster on the back and charcoal on the front. Now, a couple things have happened. First of all, I've selected my fabric and all of a sudden I have an aesthetic warning. What's it saying down here? It's letting me know that I might get waves and V's. It's saying that because my shade is more than 10 feet wide. If my shade is more than 10 feet wide, I might get waves and V's. That's totally normal. That's normal whether Lutron makes your shade or somebody else makes your shade. So don't worry too much about that. But you definitely want to set expectations with the client. Hey, let them know on a really big shade, we might get these waves and V's. Now, sealed hem bars show the face of the fabric on both sides of the shades. What it's telling me is I have a designer hem bar selected, which means that my fabric is going to come down the front, turn the corner around the bottom, and get sealed on the back. So from the outside, my shade's going to look white, except for at the bottom, where I'm going to see that charcoal that's on the front. Now, I have a list price, right? $34.45 list. If I'm doing a budgetary quote, this is good enough. Okay, I got really close on this. This is probably fine. If I'm designing a shade that I'm going to order, I must open additional options. Never ever order a shade without opening additional options because you want to make sure that what we picked automatically is what you actually want. Now, some stuff you'll see in here. This stuff got picked automatically based on my shade size. What do you notice? You may not have seen this yet, guys. This is the new Roller 64 wider. We launched it at CEDIA. We've been talking about it, but we can go 12 feet wide with a roll up of 3.5 inches. Sorry, 3.3 inches. So this picked it automatically for me because because my shade was so wide, much wider than a regular Roller 64, right? Now it's picking automatically the designer bottom bar. Nobody can remember what these look like. That's okay. That's why we have this picture here for you to scroll through. My fabric face, I'm probably not changing that, but just go through all of these options and make sure that you're comfortable with what we have here. Gives me my estimated roll diameter, and I'm going to say, great, good, I love it, done. Now, let's say my kitchen has 2 windows, a left and a right window. They're probably kind of close. If I'm doing budgetary pricing, maybe I have the same dimensions. So I'm going to duplicate it. Technically, I could order quantity too, but I feel like we got some risks going on there. So I always like to break out the shades separately into individual line items, because I know that when I go back for those final measurements, what are the odds that those two windows that they told me were going to be the same size are actually the same size? The answer is 0% chance. Now you can see I duplicated it. So my shade, which had been named kitchen left now turned into kitchen left 1. When you duplicate a shade, we're just going to make that number 1 bigger. If I duplicate it again, it's going to be called kitchen left 2. So I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to what's here. I want to name this one kitchen right for my own purposes. Okay. So we put in some shades. That's great. Let's go into the master, because I want to talk about dual rollers for a second. So if I'm going to add a product that's a shade, actually, you know what? Let's learn how to copy. Let's say that my windows are the same size. My bedroom's right upstairs for my kitchen. I'm going to copy these guys. I'm going to select these checkboxes. It's kind of counterintuitive, so take a look at what I'm doing here. Click, click. Go to my drop-down, copy. I'm going to go to my bedroom. When I get in here, I'm going to click in here and paste. So Control-C, Control-V, those hotkeys don't work in here. You have to use the drop-down menu. Now, you might have noticed that cut is not an option, Control-Cut. We don't let you do Control-Cut because this is a web-based tool. What happens if your Wi-Fi goes out and the web sync goes down and all you did was cut it? You get back in, well, it's gone from your clipboard and you can't paste it back in. So for that reason, we don't let you cut. You have to copy and paste, and you can go back and delete it later if you were trying to move a shade. So tips and tricks to rename these. If I double click, it's going to turn this into a typable box. That's very helpful to me. Bedroom left, let's say. I'm going to call this one bedroom right. Oop, I accidentally opened it. All right, bedroom right. Now, it's my bedroom. Oh, great. It doesn't like it. I'm not allowed to call it bedroom right, apparently. Continue. Bedroom, close. Okay, so let's say this is my bedroom. I've got bath suite 27, 3%. You can see it down here. If I'm selling someone a solution for their bedroom, I'm probably going to start talking to them about what option? Blackout. Very good. I need to talk about blackouts. And I want to be careful using the word blackout because maybe I'm not providing them trim and side channels and all of that, but I am going to provide them a blackout fabric, or I'm at least going to talk to them about it. And room darkening, there you go. So I probably want to say, hey, what environment do you like when you're sleeping? Do you want to darken the room? You do? Okay, great. Well, let's look at these fabrics here. It's going to darken the room. We're still going to get light coming around the sides. We always want to be careful with that because that's everyone's #1 favorite way to get upset. So because I have these windows and they're going to be the same size, presumably my inside and outside shades. Okay. Let's say I'm going to change the fabric in here from sheers to a blackout option. Maybe let's do Premiere. I like Premiere. Let's see if we can do Premiere actually. It's going to tell me I can. Great. If my window was too big to use Premiere or the wrong shape to use Premiere, it would tell me, hey, you can't use it. Sorry. It would be below the orange bar. So I love it. Great. I have my Premiere. Now, if this is going to be a blackout and I know I'm going to have a sheer on top, one of the ways you can do this, you can do this 2 ways. When you're ordering dual brackets, inside the actual shade, I can go into brackets here and I can say none. We'll order pocket dual brackets. That's my preference, guys. Oh, it's mad at me because it's a wider and we don't have dual brackets for wider. Okay, that's fair. 07 is not a dimension. 70. So I said none. I'm going to order pocket dual brackets. Now, I know at first it can be confusing. So what happened there? I said pocket dual brackets, but I had a roller 64 wider specified, which I would have known if I'd popped this thing open. So it's kind of tricky. There's a knack to using this. The best way to be most proficient is to understand the rules. So what Myprojects is doing is it's just drawing from the engineering rules, which are saying that, you know, if your shade is over whatever dimension, let's ballpark it 96 inches wide, then we're going to use roller 64 wider instead of 64 regular. If I'm using roller 64 wider, then I can't have dual pocket brackets. Why? Because I don't have dual brackets for 64 wider. If you have a dual situation where you want to use 64 wider, there's one thing you should do. There's a specific group of people at Lutron you should contact. Do you guys know who that is? If I want to do something that Myprojects isn't letting me do, who do I reach out to? Help. Shading quotes. Shading quotes. Yeah, they're the guys. They really actually like puzzles like this. So what they do is they sit in Coopersburg. Currently, they sit in their houses. And they have a direct line to engineering. So when you call them and say, look, I have these really, let's say I have a transom window. So I need to use 64 wider because I need that bigger tube that's going to resist deflection to go really wide. But my shade's not really heavy. It's a tiny little transom window. So I suspect maybe could I use the standard dual roller 64 bracket? We're not going to let you design it in Myprojects because we can't. There are weight restrictions. That's really the big thing. Our 64 bracket is so strong when you have a regular 64 on there. If you have a jumbo 64 wider, we don't want to promise you that you can use a regular 64 bracket. We want you to use the 64 wider bracket. Now, shading quotes can actually go to engineering and say, here's the actual shade, here's the actual dimensions. Can you guys do the math and find out if we can use the pocket brackets, the dual pocket brackets? And shading quotes and engineering will figure that out and we'll come back to you and get you guys those answers. So don't be discouraged if Myproject says no. If you're using your brain and you think, well, it seems like it should work, just go ahead and give us a call because it might be something custom we can do, a little bit out of the box. All right, so I've specified none will order pocket dual brackets. I'm going to name this window seat room darkening. I'm naming it that because I wish I had a window seat. Designing Myprojects with me is kind of like an inside glimpse into my brain, guys. Okay, now let's duplicate this because I want my window seat sheer. And I'm going to choose a beautiful fabric. Someone tell me your favorite fabric. Sheer fabric. Nobody has a favorite? I know right away which fabric I'm choosing for my window seat if it's up to me. Andy says do it. Okay, fine. I'll do my own favorite. It's Beast Ray. It's beautiful. I like it in the off-white. Okay, so I also here have specified none will order pocket dual brackets because this is my second layer. This is my sheer, which just so you guys know, we always want to install that sheer closer to the room because putting the room darkening option as close to the window as possible is going to cut down on light coming around the sides. Okay, I'm going to delete this guy because I'm done with him. So when I want to delete somebody, I have two options. Either I can just hit delete here, or I can check this box and then I can do delete. So either option that you want to use works. Yes, I'm sure. Cool. So I'm missing some parts and pieces. The main thing I'm missing from this little conversation right now is my pocket bracket, right? One of the helpful things up top, if we go from design into spec check, this is going to actually tell me what I'm missing. So let's go to brackets for a second. Insufficient number of bracket kits for your dual shades, add all. I just click add all and they're going to put it in for me. That's really convenient. I really like using this feature because I don't have to count anymore. Of course, I'm going to do a double check when I get my quote and make sure that I have the right number of brackets for everything, but the tool is here to help make that process simpler. Now, it noticed something else I'm missing, power supplies. Totally true. I didn't put any power supplies in at all. So let's just add those in. Great. They're going to add them in for me. Now, if I go back into the design stage, I want to show you guys one more thing. I'm going to copy this shade and move it into the living area just to illustrate this concept. Copy paste. I'm going to rename this thing living room just for consistency. Now, my living room price, I am paying $3,400 for my shade, and my area price is $3,400. If I go to my kitchen, my shades are all $3,400, and my area is priced at $6,800, right? Because I have 2 shades in my kitchen area. If I go to my great room, my price is the combination of my kitchen plus my living room cost. So this is why I like to break it out this way with these larger areas subgrouped, because I often find that the homeowners will tell us that they want, well, we're going to do the great room, or we're going to do the master. I like having the kitchen and living broke out separately because I might be treating those windows very differently in those areas. I might be putting different openness factors in those areas. Maybe in the kitchen, I have a more sheer shade because I'm not worried about watching TV in there. But I like to see that overall price. So if you're doing a quick quote, don't waste your time building out everything so intensely. Build your area tree, throw your shades in there, and you can get really easy pricing right here. When I go to summary, it's going to show everything, including my power supplies. Now, it put all my accessories and equipment down here, put in my power supply. Now, it's going to optimize, so you can see it put in plug-in power supplies. It put that in because I only have 4 shades. If I had 5 shades or more, it would give me a power panel. All right, now, let's go to backtrack. Actually, sorry, there's 2 more things we're missing, and I'm going to add them in because I can't let this happen without adding them in. Just some components. We need a brain. There should be a brain on every single job. Let's say in this case it's homework and it's a QS processor. Oops. No. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys, laptop problem. Let's say 2 links. Why not? Let's go crazy here. Sure, I want a power supply and a connect bridge. Done. Okay, now I have my system. There's one other thing I'm missing. How am I operating this stuff? I need a control of some point, at least. Maybe I'm just going to add a couple picos for simplicity. And so you can see all these different categories here. When you poke through, it's really nice and easy. I want a shade. I want 3 of them, and I'm good. All right. So let's say we've now done our initial design and we want to go to the client with a proposal. First, I'm going to go back to spec check and just see what it's telling me. All my shades are fully built. That's great. Telling me that I have different aesthetics. That's all right. I don't mind that. I know my client wanted different fabrics on the job, so that's okay. Some shades are railroaded, some aren't. But the good news is I can see that the ones, I have window seats up here and kitchen and living room down here. If I had kitchen right was not railroad and kitchen left was, I would be concerned. Different tube size, no problem. Ugh. Add my power supplies, okay. It's helpful that this stuff is here to help you out. And warnings. And the warning section is just stuff you want to mention to the client. Hey, just FYI, we might see waves and V's on these big ones. I guess it can suggest that you add those items. Angie, your question is, wouldn't it be better if it suggested you added those items? Are you talking about the processor and stuff? I think, I mean, that would be, maybe we should put one in. I guess we rely on education with our dealers, because often the shades are ordered at a different time than the homeworks components. So if you guys are doing a job, you're frequently ordering the homework stuff early, because that's not going to change, right? Once the wiring's done, we know what's happening. Shades so often come in late to the game. So a lot of shade orders are really just for shades, because they're going on to a job where control systems already exist. Okay, let's take a look at quotes and orders. What's the difference between a quote and a proposal? A quote is an agreement between you and Lutron. So you and me, for this case. I'm saying, hey, I promise to sell you this order at this price that you quoted for 90 days. If it's between you and the customer, you don't need a quote, you need a proposal, because all you really want to do is give them their price. So if I say new proposal, I've got, I'm basing it off of this current revision. I have all these areas. Yes, I want to include everything, or not. I could uncheck stuff if I'm saying I only want to talk about shades right now because I'm going to put the controls in the homeworks proposal. Whatever you want to do. I can include dimensions. The downside of including dimensions is it does give them the opportunity to share this with another contractor. So it might be smart not to include dimensions on your proposal. Line pricing or lot pricing, whatever you want to do is fine, and you can change the multiplier. So let's say that you wanted to make an additional 10% on this. You could do 1.1, and it will multiply your list price a little bit. You can add in stuff. Let's say I'm charging for labor, charging $2,000 for labor. And I can also put in notes if I want. So then I create my proposal. Takes a second because it's going back and forth and checking live and making sure that all of this stuff is going to work, logging into the system. And no matter what, the proposals and quotes that you create are going to live in this quotes and orders section of that job forever. So you can go back and pull it up. It is really helpful because people will say, oh, well, you know, what happened between this one and this one? How come the price is higher? It's easy to go back and reference them, pull them up, and say, well, I can see this thing changed. So if I open it up just to show you guys what it looks like, it's nothing thrilling, but it is helpful. We'll tell you what's in there. So that's what these proposals look like. So now I give it to my customer, okay? Let's play this out. Give it to my customer. They say, great, we love it, let's do it. Okay, I go to the site. I'm gonna go to the site. I'm gonna take my final measurements. And what happens? Well, they tell me that there's no Wi-Fi and the house is in the middle of nowhere. What do you guys call your beautiful hilly region? The hills, the hill region, hill country? That's what it is. Okay, it's out in hill country and there's no cell service. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click on this drop down by revision 0 and I'm going to export this. You can see down here it's loading. I'm going to open this up once it loads. I'm going to have an Excel file that's actually describing my project. So I don't export every single job I work on. That's, you know, if I have Wi-Fi on site, maybe I don't need to do this. But maybe I want to do it this way anyway, because it's really, really easy to bring my laptop, bring my Excel, I go through, I type in my widths and my heights, clack, clack, clack away. You got one guy measuring, one guy typing. I can fill this thing out as I go, change these measurements. You know, this one's actually 129, this one's 69. Go through, make those changes, and then save it. And so then what I can do is when I save this down to my desktop or wherever I want, let's say you've got guys off site, they're working on it, they send it back into the office as soon as they have service again. Now back in the office, I could upload this. So I could click right here, upload that job, and I'm gonna get a new revision that has all of my actual on-site measurements. So again, the way that I did that is I went to my drop-down arrow here, I clicked export, and it spit out an Excel file that I can use to make changes to and then load it right back up. What's another thing I can do right now? Let's say that they decided that they really like Fast Wave 27, 3%, and they want it everywhere. Well, I can just copy and paste all through so that all of my shades are now Fast Wave 27. So, or, oops, I just switched them all to Premiere. So I can change my fabric really quickly. This is just like mass edit in SCT used to be. But because you don't have to click, I mean, for those of you who spend a lot of time in Excel, you can whiz right through making changes in here. Now, all of these other things, we're not using them in this case. These are for coupled shades. So if you were doing coupled shades, that's what these categories would be for. All right, pretty cool, right? The only thing that you can't change and re-upload is the list price. Just FYI, you don't get to type in a different list price and upload it and see if it sticks. It will not. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. We got one, yep, I'm taking it. Now, let's say I'm going to, let's say I'm going to make some changes. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's do a quote. Okay. So we make our changes, we upload them, they like it, we make a quote. Quote, create a quote. Now, like I said, a quote is an agreement between you guys and Lutron. So we're locking in that price. I haven't changed anything in my project since we made our proposal. You're going to notice when I make this quote, the price is going to be different. The price is going to be different because I added a multiplier into my proposal. That proposal is for you. We don't look at it. It means nothing to us. It's for you to show to the customer. The quote is the real price that we're going to charge you. That's your receipt, basically. So this does not have the multiplier and it does not have labor on it. It's just the quote. Now, I don't have the option here because I work for Lutron. I'm not able to order, but you could actually place an order from right here on your own Myproject. So once I make my quote, I've now quoted based on revision 0, and I quoted everything, quoted the full job. So if I go back to design, what you're going to see is something that alarms people the first time. How do I get, okay, I got a question I'll poke through in a second. Once this thing loads, my Wi-Fi is struggling here these days. We are heavily using Wi-Fi. I imagine many of you are dealing with this also. So you'll see all of these are locked. And this lock symbol is telling me, you already quoted this. I can't make a change because I quoted it. I give you a price. We can't make changes to it. What we can do is really easily, we can duplicate it. There it is, unlocked, ready to go. Most orders that we get have 7, 8, 9 revisions. That's very normal. Okay, now in here, I have my duplicated job. Let's see, what else do we need to go over? Now, okay, so let's say we gave them a quote, they liked it, they're on board, we're good to go. You notice I didn't order any pockets, right? Let's say that my client is insisting that his builder is going to build custom pockets. That's fine. Honestly, I like that because that means I don't have to worry about charging for that. And I don't have to worry about installing it, and he's going to do it for me. But he's probably going to do it wrong unless I really enable him to be amazing, because most builders don't understand how much we really need that. We need the space that we ask for, and we need it to be straight all the way down. So what I want to do is order myself a sample of trim. So right here you see trim under add product. It's right next to roller because it's the second most common thing people order from us. Let's say standard pocket. I want 3.5 by 3.5. I want it for QS roller 64. Inside mount, sure, white. I don't really care because I'm just ordering this for my developer. And I want 12 inches. Oh, I gotta make it longer. One. You can't make it in one, guys, just FYI. Okay, so I'm gonna order myself a chunk of pocket. And you can see right here, the list price is 64 bucks. That's list price. I'm gonna order this and I'm gonna use it. It's good to have a couple of these on hand. In our office in New York, we have a bunch of them stashed away that we literally bring with us to give to contractors to help them understand, like, look, when you're done with my pocket, I'm coming back here with this piece of pocket and I'm gonna put it in your pocket and I'm gonna try and slide it all the way down. And if I can't slide this thing all the way down, we're gonna have an issue. I'm not gonna be able to fit my shade in here. I find this is really helpful because if you tell them to build you a 3.5 by 3.5 inch pocket, sometimes they just literally forget about the thickness of the material that they used. They will make it crooked. They'll turn a corner. I have seen people build curved pockets for straight shades. I don't know what they're thinking. So let's make it really simple for them. And this is how we can order trim. What else is in trim? Let's go back to trim again and make sure you guys see all the stuff that's in here. I can order flap and hanger, I can order side channel, I can order sill angles or hem bar chunks or fascia. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. Don't hesitate to use this as a tool. Now, what else is in here that we want to know about? Fabric linear samples. Down here at the bottom, in my fabric linear samples, I can go in. I can say, well, I'm talking to them about B-stray. I know they're going to love it. I want to show them a sample. I'm going to order them a linear foot. You can see we'll tell you we're just literally going to cut off the fabric roll. We just snip it right off and send it out to you. And I ordered 1 linear foot, so it's going to be 12 inches long. I can order larger. It's going up at 2 feet by 118 inches. It's $33 list price. This is not prohibitive. I actually really recommend that you do this, especially if you're working with a designer. They love having fabric samples. They get so excited about this. In a lot of our major markets where we have Lutron facilities, we actually, as habit, have a couple of these large samples ordered, and we'll just snip them up and throw them into a file folder because people sometimes want bigger than the 5 by 10 ones that we use often. 5 by 10 can help you narrow it down to 3 or 4 options, but you might want a bigger sample when you're really making a decision. I would also say if you have those clients that are really particular, especially when we're talking about privacy, let's make sure that we get them a sample. I see it all the time. Let's say they choose a 1% and they say, oh, I'm choosing 1% because I want privacy. Uh-oh, I hear that. And I immediately get worried because I know they're not going to feel enough privacy from that. So I'm going to order them a sample for, 30 bucks list and say, hang this up in your window, please, and make sure that you're comfortable with the amount of privacy you're going to get through here. It just helps them make the right choice, and it kind of removes the risk of them not liking it because that's the worst case scenario, right? So great, now I have my sample. Now, if you spend some time exploring in here, there's a lot of really good stuff that will help you figure out all these different control options. Now, your selection is going to reflect what you have access to. I obviously, as a Lutron employee, have a lot of random stuff in here, access to all different commercial and residential products, so yours will probably look more curated. I can add a ton of different devices and order them directly from here. Panels and modules, I can order light fixtures. If you carry Ketra, you can order them from in here. And again, accessories and equipment. These shade fabric samples typically are going to take the same amount of time as making an actual shade. So when we cut a fabric sample off the roll for you, it actually goes in the production process, just like making a shade. So probably what we would actually want to do is order this as its own, right? We would have our own order that would include all of the samples we might need for a job. You can see it ships in 10 business days. So if we put all of our trim and fabric samples together, all of these things that ship in 10 business days, we're going to get them potentially even faster than that, of course. If you need it faster, it's not that much, and it's the same ship time for the pocket material right here, which is the trim, 10 business days. If you need it faster, rushing an order that's $100 is going to cost you $10. So if you need it faster, give us a call. We'll see if we can expedite that for you. We might be able to do it faster as a rush if it's an emergency. Additionally, I would say my best suggestion when it comes to having samples on hand to talk to contractors and architects about, have the trim samples all the time. Have a little kit with some pocket material, some flap and hanger. It is going to help you illustrate the concept, especially if you've tried to describe the flap and hanger to a regular homeowner. It's like so difficult to explain to them how the flap attaches. I hope you guys have had this struggle and it's not just me. These homeowners never get it. They're like, I don't understand how it attaches. So when you have a little sample of that you can actually physically show them, they get it immediately. Oh, okay, totally, great. So keep these in the office, have a couple on hand. It doesn't cost much to build out your selection. If you guys have that shade sales kit that we gave you, you can actually have those. You might have these already and you might not realize that's that blue duffel bag that we give you when you come to full shades training. Now I know some of you came to full shades training a really long time ago and that duffel bag might be just being used as a duffel bag right now and God knows where the samples went. So if you need them, don't hesitate to order them on here. Now, of course, if you want the 5x10 samples, you can order them from lutronfabrics.com. You can see up here, let's say I want boucle. I can go in here and I got all my pictures of what it looks like. I got my colors. Let's say I want it in stone. I want a sample of this. I want my 5x10 sample. I add that to my shopping cart and I can order these right away. And they're going to come really quickly. They're going to ship within 1 to 2 business days. And these are the 5x10 samples. So what we actually do with these is we keep these stocked. We have them stocked just like we stocked dimmers and picos. When you order one, all we need to do is put it in a box or an envelope and get it out to you. When you want that really large sample, we're literally cutting that off the same fabric roll that we make a shade out of. So that's why it takes longer, because it's actually going into the queue at our factory at Northlake, let's say. Someone in Northlake picks up the ticket and they see that someone has ordered 2 feet of fabric off of the roll of bee stray. And so it's the same guy who builds the shade who goes through and cuts off that fabric for you. So these guys, as usual, these 5x10 ones are going to get to you super quickly. And these are free. The 5x10 samples are totally free. All right. Let's pop back into my projects and see if we're missing anything. So the last part I want to make sure we talk about is in the project details section. Now, everyone uses this differently, but the way that I've seen it be most successful is if you think about the profiles of people in your organization that use my projects and make sure that they have the ability to do whatever fits with their regular responsibilities. So you can see right now, I have this box checked, enable ordering for projects. I can uncheck this and say, we're not ready yet, and we're not going to order this. I personally can't place an order. I showed you that under quotes and orders. I don't have an order button. You can set up employees at your organization to not have an order button if you want. And sometimes that lowers the pressure of having more people be able to contribute to getting the information in here and getting the project built. So if you want to set someone up with limited access, again, myprojects@lutron.com, shoot them an email and say, I want to set up this person at my company. I want them to have the ability to create projects and work on projects, but not place that order. So oftentimes what will happen is, let's say I work for a company and I did a lot of the design, but I don't have the ability to actually place the order. The owner of my company places the order. Once I'm done, I can go into edit details. And I have a couple of different things I can change to let that person know that it's time to place the order. So I can either go in here and change it to quoted. or I can change it to order and install, and then let the owner know, hey, check out the order and install options, and it will let you do that. Now, I can also change who it's assigned to. So I could go in here, your list probably has, 5 or 6 or 10 people on here, not 1,000. And I could assign this to somebody else. I could assign it to the owner of my company and say, hey, I sent a project over to you. Take a look at projects that are assigned to you, and you'll be able to see it's ready to go. Now, for me, in my quotes and orders, because I work for Lutron, all I have access to is list price. When you guys do a quote, you'll see 3 options here. You'll see list price, your price, and no price. Okay, now that is everything I wanted to cover. You guys let me know, is there anything that we didn't talk about that would be helpful, that you're concerned about, can't find? There will be a recorded version of this. James, maybe you can explain how that works.
I don't unmute myself. Yes. So Angie, we're gonna post this on our new Bill McCoy University site. So I mean, because these videos are pretty, so we're gonna post them. We'll just have a link there. So I'll send you. We'll send out a link to the recording later on today, and I'll have it up later on today. It takes a little bit of time to put that online. So, but yeah, you guys are easily able to do it, and obviously. There's no presentation material. I don't think you got any presentation material, Catherine. You can send that to me. I send out, but we'll have the video up shortly.
And David, I see your question coming in. How do we rescan a project if we add another shade order? I'm not sure I understand the question completely. Can you, well, if you want to take it offline, you can shoot me an email. We can talk about it.
Can you hear me, Catherine?
Yes, I can.
In other words, some clients will go, hey, we want to just do our master bedroom now. And so we do a ROT 2 project in my case. And so it all loads up in the My Business portal. So we get credit for our, our sales. But then 6 months later, they go, hey, we want to add our great room now, order those shades. Lutron, will the business portal pick up on those additional shades? Is there, because I know that when we put a connect bridge on, that's how Lutron reads the project and we get credit for the job.
Good question. Okay, so I understand the question. You are a pro and you are getting credit for the products that are connected to the connect bridge that you register with us. Correct. Yeah. That is a good question, and I don't actually know the answer. I will find out, though. So if you want to just privately send me your email address, I will get back to you. I know the guy who knows the answer, unless Stella McCoy, one of you guys know the answer.
Sorry, I was texting someone. What was it? Sorry, I got text.
The question.
Go ahead.
Calling you out, texting during class. The question is, how does the pro get credit for products that get added after the initial upload of the Connect Bridge? So I certainly know the guys at Lutron who know the nuances of this, and I'm sure there is an answer, and I can find out and let you know. So David, if you just message me your email address or shoot me an email, I'll get that answer for you.
Okay. Yeah, Dave, what part of the territory are you in?
I'm North Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, we can have one of our guys reach out to you, and if you have my email, just shoot me an email, and then we can reach out to you with the answer. Because there's a way to do that.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I love finding out these things. In concept, it's all simple, and then how do we actually solve the exact thing?
For shades, for shades, pros get the credit when they order it through the distributor. So the distributor puts their Lutron Pro account number in, and that's how they get credit for shades. So the Connect bridge doesn't actually tally up the pro points for shades. They get the credit for their shades whenever they order it through the distributor.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Bella McCoy coming in with the facts.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Answers.
That's a good question session. Everyone does have access to Bella McCoy University. I saw that question come in.
Yeah, it's a site we just put up this week with all these new webinars we're doing and everything like that. Put these things. So I'm going to put a link in the blog. You guys can just click on it and it'll take you there, and just keep on, you know, you can go back and we'll be up. We're going to have a lot of webinars going on over the next few weeks as everybody's, you know, social distancing. So yeah, you guys can go on there and look. We'll have a lot of good content. It's definitely not there yet. We just started working on it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for your time. I hope you're all safe and sound. It's almost the weekend. TGIF, right? I'm really feeling it. So take care. Hope you get some sunshine, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Thanks, Katherine, so much for spending an hour with us and getting us up to date. I think it was really good. I appreciate it.
I love talking to you guys, so.
All right.
See you soon.
Thanks, Katherine.